Some people cry during movies. Others cry when they're frustrated, or when someone shows them unexpected kindness, or sometimes for reasons they can't quite name. And if you're someone who tears up easily, you've probably heard the comments. You're too sensitive. Why are you crying over that? You need thicker skin. But what if the ability to cry easily isn't a flaw in your emotional design? What if it's actually telling us something important about how your nervous system works, how you process the world, and why that processing style comes with its own kind of strength? There's a biological reality behind emotional tears that most people don't understand. When you cry, your body isn't malfunctioning, it's regulating. Tears contain stress hormones, cortisol, proteins that build up during emotional arousal. Crying is one of the ways your body releases what it can't hold anymore. It's a pressure valve, not a breakdown. People who cry easily aren't producing tears because they're fragile. They're producing tears because their emotional system is responsive. There's a difference. Responsiveness means your nervous system picks up on emotional shifts quickly. You notice tension in a room before it's spoken. You feel other people's pain without them having to explain it. You register beauty, sadness, connection, and loss with clarity. That's not weakness. That's perceptiveness. And perceptiveness has a cost. When you're wired to feel things deeply, you're also wired to carry things heavily. A passing comment that someone else forgets in an hour might loop in your mind for days. A sad story you hear secondhand can sit with you like it happened to you. This isn't because you're choosing to dwell. It's because your brain processes emotional information with more intensity than someone with a less reactive system. Neuroscientists have found that people with higher emotional sensitivity often have more active mirror neuron systems. These are the neurons that fire when you observe someone else experiencing something, allowing you to feel with them. It's what makes empathy possible. But it also means you're absorbing emotional data constantly, often without realizing it. There's also a hormonal component that rarely gets discussed. People with lower thresholds for crying often have different baseline levels of prolactin, the hormone that regulates tear production. Women typically have higher prolactin levels than men, which is part of why crying patterns differ across gender. But within any gender, there's significant variation. Some nervous systems are simply calibrated to release through tears more readily than others. It's not a choice you're making in the moment. It's how your system was built. So when you cry easily, part of what's happening is overflow. Your system has been taking in emotional information all day, from conversations, from environments, from things you witnessed or remembered, and eventually, it needs a release. The tears aren't random. They're the body's way of clearing what it's been holding. Here's what makes this confusing. We live in a culture that has deeply conflicted messages about emotion. On one hand, we're told to be authentic, to express ourselves, to not bottle things up. On the other hand, public displays of emotion, especially tears, are often met with discomfort, judgment, or the suggestion that you're being dramatic. This creates a strange double bind. You're supposed to feel, but not too much. You're supposed to be honest, but not in ways that make others uncomfortable. And if you're someone who cries easily, you end up feeling like you're constantly failing some unspoken test of emotional control. The workplace makes this especially complicated. Professional culture still operates under outdated assumptions that emotion and competence can't coexist. Crying at work is treated as a loss of control, even when the tears are coming from passion, exhaustion, or the simple fact that you care deeply about what you're doing. People who cry easily often find themselves trapped between being authentic and being taken seriously. They learn to schedule their emotional releases, to wait until they're alone, to treat their tears like something shameful that needs to be hidden. But control isn't the same as health. Suppressing tears doesn't make you stronger. It just means you've learned to redirect the pressure elsewhere, into your jaw, your shoulders, your stomach, your sleep. The emotion doesn't disappear, it just goes underground. What's interesting is that People who cry easily often develop a specific kind of shame around it. Not because crying itself is inherently shameful, but because they've been taught that it is. They've been told they're too much, that they need to toughen up, that they're exhausting to be around. Over time, they start to internalize that message. They begin apologizing for their tears before they've even fallen. And that apology carries a belief that their emotional reality is an inconvenience, that their sensitivity is a burden, that they should be different than they are. But sensitivity isn't something that needs to be fixed. It's a trait, not a disorder. And like any trait, it comes with trade-offs. Yes, you might cry more easily, but you also notice beauty more readily. You connect with people more deeply. You care about things in ways that move you to action. Those aren't side effects, they're part of the same wiring. There's also something important to understand about what crying represents. Tears aren't just about sadness. People cry when they're overwhelmed, yes, but they also cry when they're moved, when they feel seen, when something lands in a place they've been protecting for a long time. Tears can be grief, but they can also be relief. They can mark the moment when you finally let yourself feel something you've been holding at a distance. This is why people sometimes cry during moments of kindness. It's not because the kindness itself is sad. It's because kindness can crack open a place in you that's been braced for harshness. And when that bracing finally softens, emotion rushes in. What gets overlooked is how often easy criers are also the people holding space for everyone else's emotions. They're the friends people call in crisis, the ones who can sit with difficult feelings without trying to fix them or make them go away. Their capacity to cry easily is often linked to their capacity to witness pain without flinching. They've made peace with the fact that emotions are intense, so they don't need others to minimize their experiences. But this creates an imbalance. They become the safe place for everyone else's feelings while their own tears are still met with awkwardness or the suggestion that they're overreacting. The very sensitivity that makes them good at holding space becomes the thing they're criticized for when it's their turn to need support. If you cry easily, you've probably learned to manage it in ways that have become automatic. You excuse yourself from rooms, you blink rapidly, you change the subject, you make a joke to deflect. You've developed an entire infrastructure around minimizing your tears so others don't have to witness them. But all of that management takes energy, and over time it creates distance between you and the people around you. Not because you want distance, but because you've learned that your full emotional reality isn't always welcome. The shift begins when you stop treating your tears as something to apologize for and start seeing them as information. What are these tears telling you? What have you been holding? What needed to move through you? When you approach tears with curiosity instead of shame, they stop feeling like a failure and start feeling like a conversation your body is trying to have with you. This doesn't mean crying whenever, wherever, without regard for context. Emotional intelligence includes knowing when and how to express what you're feeling, but it also includes trusting that what you're feeling is real, is valid, and doesn't need to be justified to anyone. There's a particular kind of loneliness that comes with being someone who feels things intensely in a world that values composure. You learn early that your emotional range makes people uncomfortable, so you start compressing yourself. You downplay what you're feeling. You laugh off moments that actually hurt, and slowly, you begin to lose trust in your own responses, wondering if maybe everyone else is right. Maybe you are too sensitive. Maybe there is something wrong with the way you're built. But the intensity of your emotions isn't a design flaw. It's a different operating system, and it requires different maintenance. Where others might process stress through action or distraction, you process through release. That's not better or worse. It's just different. People who cry easily are often the ones holding the emotional truth of a room. They're the ones who feel what others are avoiding. And while that can be lonely, it's also necessary. Because someone has to be willing to feel the things that matter, someone has to be willing to let the truth land, even when it hurts. Your tears aren't proof that you're broken. They're proof that you're still open. And in a world that often rewards numbness, that openness is rare. It's not something to correct. It's something to protect.